We take a trip back now to 1853, a time when trains were becoming a common way to travel. But how is model railroading, President Lincoln's funeral, and an old wooden building all related?
A good question, Tyler, but we have the answer for you. Actually, Jesse Gwynn has the answer as he takes us off the beaten track in this look back. It's part of our ongoing series, Home in History, celebrating 200 years.
If you take a drive down the old Route 66, you'll eventually come through the village of McLean, home to about 800 people and lots of trains. But there are trains and history you may not necessarily know about. This 165-year-old depot stands right alongside 66.
Where most people go to work, I go play with trains.
Tom Ludlam, a train enthusiast, started helping the village renovate the old depot just under 10 years ago.
I was driving by the building one day. I don't know how many times I drove by and had not noticed that this depot was sitting here. And after the village had cleaned it up, surprised, where'd that come from?
2 years older than the village itself, here stands the second oldest wood depot in the state. The building was once in poor shape, having been used as an antique store and the center of a junkyard.
They thought I was an absolute fruitcake.
Ironically, he suggested the village make the building a hobby shop.
It's my project. If I fail, it's my problem. If I succeed, then that's good to go. So, well, 8 years later, I'm doing pretty good.
Today, it's a fully functioning model railroad shop complete with all the bells and whistles. Tom is even adding a model train layout in one of the rooms.
It had not been modified much at all. All the frames, the woodwork, other things like that still retain original holes.
Today in McLean, you'll find two high-speed railways traveling through the community, surrounded by this safety gating. And although technology has changed, the history has not changed. For example, this is where the depot once stood. It's since been moved to a different location a few blocks from here. That was to avoid it actually being torn down. That's for good reason, because the history of the depot goes further than just its age.
In 1865, President Abraham Lincoln's funeral train actually went by the depot, and there are only two stations that saw that procession still standing in Illinois.
With the exception of this one and one at Lockport, and all the rest of the buildings along this entire route through Illinois from Chicago down to Springfield have all been replaced.
Today, the depot also displays written history.
Back in the freight room, we have names and dates of travelers and employees going back to the 1880s. We got stuck with an old building over all these years, and of course, now we have a treasure.
Allowing both train and history buffs to get their kicks on Route 66. In McLean, I'm Jesse Gwynn, 25 News.
And Ludlam's shop is now open 5 days a week. And if you're a fan of trains, you might want to check out Wildlife Prairie Park tomorrow to mark National Train Day.